It was really early when I recorded this video, and I didn't record a fun little stinger, so I'm going to use this time to just say that I do have a second YouTube channel, ThrabenU_gaming. If you play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, or you're potentially interested in that system, consider checking it out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. I'm recording this one pretty early in the morning while my girlfriend is still asleep, so I'm going to keep the volume a little lower than normal. And today, Edison has asked me to play with an 8 mulch deck. And I've pretty much built this one from the ground up. We're in a post-ban world where things are pretty different. And we're going to try to take some of the tech that we've learned from the Lumra Living Wish lands and incorporate it into this deck. If you're not familiar with the general strategy, what we want to do is play cards like Winding Way and Mulch that let us fill our hand with lands, and then in theory we want to dump them all into play at the same time with Manabond. Ultimately, our win condition for the deck is Field of the Dead. We want to make a ton of zombies, and we want to have inevitability. Outside of the early turns of the game, we're largely not going to care about counterspells. Like, we don't care if our Life from the Loam gets countered, we will dredge it back, and we will do it the next turn. In playing the Lumra Living Wish lands deck recently, I had found that Living Wish was just feeling too slow for the format, and that maybe trying to lock people out with Tabernacle wasn't always going to work. So we're going to go a little bit heavier on Blast Zone, and we're going to bring the 4th Maze of Ith into the main deck rather than it being a potential Living Wish target. Blast Zone in particular is a way to clear Planeswalker Tamiyo, which has been a bit of a problem for this deck. We're not great at attacking in the early game, even though we are great at attacking in the late game. This deck could be blue as well to do some things like Uro and Treasure Hunt, and that would be perfectly reasonable as well, but I want to try black. I think in game 1 it is okay to be a dedicated Field of the Dead deck. I think that's fine. In the post-sideboard games, where we are occasionally going to have to worry about things like Magus of the Moon and Harbinger of the Seas coming in and being a problem, I just want to have something that can hit like a truck and self-scale, and GOYF is that card. This card has recently been a band-aid on deck lists. I think this is one of the better generic threats in Legacy right now, so why not shove it into lands and see how it performs there. Most of the rest of the sideboard I think is kind of unexciting, and let's jump into it and see how this performs. This is our first attempt at a lands-style deck in the post-banning world. We haven't been seeing as much Oops All Spells in League as I expected there would be. We haven't been seeing, honestly, as much combo as I expected. A lot of people are going back to these bare blue strategies, and there is a resurgence of Control. The Control is coming back. Long, dirtily, grindy lands games seem good. And folks, if you need some cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, toamagic.com. You need old stuff, they got it. You need new stuff, they got it. You need sweet deals on high-end stuff, check them out in person at any event like a Magic Con, and they tend to have a really good like HP bin where you can get some really solid deals on things like dual lands. If you're ordering online, promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order as well. Alright, let's battle. Okay, opening hand is very reasonable here, assuming that we are not playing against fast combo. I think that is going to be the case in a lot of our games here. There's Underground Mortuary. Another exploration? Sure. With Mulch and Winding Way here, this can allow me to potentially work towards an earlier than normal Field of the Dead in case we are playing against some combo deck. So let's Winding Way. Collecting land. We only hit 1 there. Not what I am looking for. I'll throw down the Maze of Ith, I guess. I guess I get both. Seeing 1 basic land here, I don't necessarily think that Ghost Quarter is going to be a land destruction card. We are probably playing against some like Gaia's Cradle, Green Sun sort of deck. Alright, so I hit life from the Loam with my Winding Way, which is why my opponent is playing out Endurance at sorcery speed, just in case you didn't see that happen. We are about to go wild with double Exploration, life from the Loam. This is fine. Hopefully we have a better Mulch than Winding Way last turn. Nice. 1, 2, 3. So let's play a Blast Zone, play a Ghost Quarter. I am fine getting rid of my explorations, right? Just like don't really have bonus lands anymore to play. So let's just get rid of the Mana Dork and keep my opponent from progressing their board. We're already at the appropriate number of things for Field of the Dead, and now we just need to kind of hit something reasonable to do to follow up. My opponent has a very good, just casual, incidental Graveyard Hate here. Maze keeps this from doing anything. Hey, it's Field of the Dead. Nice. Well, let's yield to that. And I think just pass the turn. I can Ghost Quarter my own lands for zombies at some point. Blast Zone on 2, clearing double Scythe Cat Cub sounds good. Sure. Alright, so opponent is no attacks now because of Lair of the Hydra. Wasteland is okay. I think playing Blast Zone is just better. I'll go ahead and make my friend and pass the turn. Another Elvish Reclaimer might make me want to Blast Zone on 1 instead. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Opponent can rotate in response. Attacking the Bog. That's fine. I want this out of the deck, because this is how I stop Merit Lage. Well, no, I guess that's fine. But now I can play this. Wasteland is fine to use, and we're just chilling. I don't have Tabernacle in this version of the deck. I guess with double Ghost Quarter in play, I don't actually have to worry about Merit Lage hitting play. It's fine. Good with just passing the turn here. Let's see what this has going on. Gaia's Cradle. Certainly annoying. These do trample. Ghost Quartering Gaia's Cradle would mean that I double the counters on this, which is actually sort of annoying. Do I just let them have Gaia's Cradle? Let's say no. Let's say no. That is a double and 8, a double to 16. As long as Maze of Ith sticks around, this is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'll go ahead and fetch. I want to see what's happening with my next turn here. Don't want that. Let's see if this is land destruction. It is not yet. Okay. That's fine. By doing it now, I am not allowing my opponent to double again. Manabond is not what I am looking for right now. I'm okay playing it out, but it doesn't do anything until I hit a Mulch or Life from the Loam. I think this game is pretty likely to slip away. I also suspect that my opponent should be stacking up counters on 2 different trampling creatures to force through Maze of Ith / Line of Zombies, but I don't know what they are playing towards in terms of like stopping Maze of Ith. For example, if they have a Wasteland effect just at the ready that can remove this, they can stack up on 1 and try to just straight up trample through the zombies with a single threat. There's a rotate. Get bigger. There's Ghost Quarter. I've seen double Forest basic Swamp. Are you land destruction now? Let's find out. Alright, it is now land destruction. And this fetch land probably still has a fetchable. I've destroyed 2 bayous. Probably more than that in there. Just like it. It is an ETB tapped land, though. Alright. Now opponents figured out that they should be stacking this up over 2 different ones. And I am just fully at the mercy of my deck. Drawing something respectable here. My goal is to build up enough zombies that I can kill my opponent in 1 swing. That's conceptually what I want to be doing. But my opponent has 5 blockers, so this is not getting me anywhere too quickly. Green Sun's fine. That's not fine, actually. Now I can't Maze of Ith. That'll do. GG. How do I feel about this here? Probably fine. I think I have 6 cards that I can be considering. My Life from the Loams are fine cards, but not super reliable, due to my opponent just having a billion ways to find Bojuka Bog and Endurance. Manabond gets a little worse if I board in this many cards, but fast Field of the Dead is still something I very much want to do. I think given my opponent's abundance of graveyard-oriented answers, I don't think I want these here. I'm going to do something that looks like this. This is going to be a high variance hand, where if I find a Field of the Dead off this mulch, this hand is going to be batshit insane. And if I don't find that, this hand may struggle to win. Opponent's just passing the turn here. So, bam, and bam. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think I dump all of these lands into play. I think I give this a turn to see if I find a Field of the Dead a different way. Force of Vigor. Sure. That's fine. So I will just discard a land and keep a Manabond to try to do this again next turn. Opponent tanked for a while, and I presume is just doing a Surveil land. Just discard this Snow-Covered Swamp. The Snow-Covered Swamp basically exists in the mana base so that when I play against Delver, I have a black source I can fetch that can't be wastelanded for my GOYFs. Sure. So I will Exploration, and then let's try to plan. Mulch is great. Let's put that on top. Do I want to Manabond? I think I'm going to wait a turn. I'm going to wait a turn, but drop a Maze of Ith so I avoid chip damage. Basic land, Reclaimer. I've got a Blast Zone I can use to kill that, but my opponent can convert it into mana. That's fine. I have a Boseiju for this. Yep. I will take 2. So let's start with a Mulch here. Wow. I'm unhappy. I am unhappy. I want to make a land drop to be able to Boseiju Disruptor Flute. I think I'm going to make the second one to Surveil. Alright, opponent is presumably going to get like a Gaia's Cradle or a Bojuka Bog here. I would get Bog. Yep. Land drop. Sure. The white comes in. I'll junk Disruptor Flute. Boseiju is still in my graveyard. I can potentially rebuy it later. Sure. That's annoying. That was my opponent's last card as well. That doesn't actually do anything, because Talon Gates is available. Annoying. I mean, it removes a 2/2. Clarifying. It does not do what I want to accomplish. 14. I'll play Blast Zone. Ticking Blast Zone up to 2 is pretty good. I'll hold the Forest and the Manabond. And we'll see what my opponent has to pick up here. Wasteland's rough. Getting attacked for 7-ish damage, losing Exploration, losing Blast Zone for no value. By Exploration. That's 7. Last card's a land. I'll put my charge counter on, and then this will get wastelanded. Yep. Life from the Loam. Well, I guess Life from the Loam doesn't actually do it right, because no, the Bojuka Bog's been used. Regardless, though, I am just dead. GG's. Does not feel like a matchup that I want to play. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Okay, so in terms of opening hands, I really want a 1-drop way to play additional lands. So this is a perfectly fine hand that I don't think does the thing that my deck wants to do. This is a much stronger version of the same hand. With double mulch, I kind of just want to throw back the Boseiju. Play Burgeoning on 1, get bonus Forest. and then potentially do Mulch into a bonus land drop following that. This gives my opponent a chance to do something like a Prismatic Ending or a Daze on Burgeoning so that my Manabond, which will be the big payoff after I cast these spells, actually works. For sure. Halfling, sure. So we're probably playing against Nadu combo. Another Manabond. Okay. Burgeoning resolves. Some manipulation. Opponent is intentionally, potentially skipping their land drop, so I don't get Burgeoning value. Oh no. I'll just have to cast Mulch. Nice. So now my opponent is in this squeeze where if they don't play a land, I wasteland them. If they do play a land, I wasteland them. Love that for me. It is also possible that they physically do not have a land and they just brainstorm locked themselves by playing the first brainstorm. Unsure what level of 3000 IQ plays we're at here. All right, nice. Oh, there's that. There's that. Yep. I will take one. That's fine. Oh, Life from the Loam is sick. I think I am always wastelanding my opponent. That might mean committing Ghost Quarter to play immediately. And doing this. Okay. This turn looks differently than I thought it would. So now I play Manabond. That's a Force of Will. Unfortunate. We're about to pop off real hard. That's fine. We'll attack some mana, discard, maybe Basic Forest. So the fear is my opponent just goes land Nadu this turn. If that doesn't happen, my opponent is probably in the squeeze of my resources. I just have another... Oh, that's actually very good. That can potentially allow them to go land Nadu instantly. So I have 7 lands for Field of the Dead purposes. I will be able to wasteland at end step. Let's fill this hand. Now I'll play around Daze. I just have so much power here. Move to end step. Oh my god. Yes. Triggers. Yeah. Yeah. And Nadu combo is not beating that many onboard zombies. Even if my opponent like goes land Nadu. That's just not happening. Do I want GOYFs here? I always want Dismembers. I want to take out the Mana Dorks and then obliterate my opponent's lands. I do wish that I had Tabernacle here. Go down a couple of 2-drops and maybe 1 Burgeoning. And call this good. This is fine. I want my opening hand to have one of these effects and a 2-drop whenever possible. Like, that's kind of my basic formula for success. That is great. I am fine immediately setting my opponent back. I have way more lands in my opponent's than my opponent's deck, even though my opponent's deck is land heavy by legacy standards. Sure. We don't want to play this out immediately. Let's see if this eats a Force of Will. I don't believe that I do this turn. Like, I could do it and Blast Zone away Nomads immediately. I mean, I could die to Cephalid Illusionist this turn. That is a thing that could happen. I think I'm going to not play around that. Opponent missed their free point of damage. Playing Exploration is free-ish. I play Exploration, I go land drop, and then Winding Way. Force of Vigor would get more value. I think that's fine. Am I okay playing Yavimaya now? My opponent has a Trop already. Oh. This sometimes ends up in play at my end step. I'm going to do this. We want to hit Field of the Dead. Maybe I should not have Blast Zoned. Actually, maybe I want to put that in off Manabond and be able to activate it immediately. I think that was a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Blast Zone was a mistake. Hopefully this just overpowers what my opponent is doing and it doesn't matter. I don't need my Manabond in Exploration once I do this. And there's really 2 more zombies here. Yeah, but I could have Blast Zone plus Activate up. Uro's fine. While that's a fine and powerful card, it doesn't do anything versus Army O zombies. Opponent's got something else, probably just a mana dork, a cantrip, and a dork. So we're going to fetch, grab Surveil Land, and with this trigger still on the stack, I'm going to do that again. That is 2 zombies. That is an average draw. I think I'm going to go for an above average draw. I get multiple surveils here. That's definitely above average. Without really thinking about it. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye to both of those. Oops, I forgot to boot up Lair of the Hydra. I missed 3 damage. We'll pretend that leaving Dismember up matters. Which honestly, I guess it kind of does. Uro is fine. My opponent is dead on board. Yeah, so I still get through with 6 zombies. That was impressive. We did the Field of the Dead thing that time very, very consistently. I don't know that we are always going to come out ahead in this Nadu matchup, though. Without the Tabernacles, I did lose out on a major tool for this matchup. We are fully reliant on Manabond resolving here. But this has a lot of potential. So we do have 2 Wastelands. So we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different names for Field of the Dead purposes. We do not necessarily have to lay Manabond immediately. Let's try to feed an Exploration to a counterspell here. Ooh, Exploration just resolved. I'm going to make the bonus land drop and resolve the Manabond. I am, however, not going to dump these in. We're going to try to find a moment where I can make all the Field of the Dead zombies. So my opponent does not have counterspells. They did not have a turn 1 threat. This Brainstorm may be putting back cards that are going to be generically bad against me. Your Fatal Pushes, Lightning Bolts, whatever. Opponent could still just be a combo deck, like something like Show and Tell, and not actually have those sorts of cards, and they just have a bunch of combo pieces in hand that they're smoothing out. They like their cards off the Ponder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think I'm going to wait a turn. I can hold up Boseiju for an emergency, like Omniscience or something. This 3rd land drop, this is where we might just eat a Show and Tell. Not exactly Show and Tell, but basically Show and Tell. I am going to Boseiju this. I think I just need to interact with that. I need a Mulch style card to just increase the number of land drops I'm getting, which is not happening. I'll play a Burgeoning. It gives me some weird fringe options. That's an Omniscience. Unfortunately, we already used our Boseiju. This could be worse, honestly. Yeah. That's not great. I feel like it is a matter of time before I am dead here. Oops, all stock ups. Not dead yet. Okay, that kills me. Cunning Wish for shared summons for Duders. That's fine. We had a very powerful hand that the draws didn't quite come together for us to make a bunch of Field of the Dead zombies to pressure my opponent. I have some medium cards I can bring in. Like, these are medium. I might just be bringing these in as another way to pressure my opponent. I'm going to go Burgeoning down. I'm going to trim Malevolent Rumble. Life from the Loam Wasteland's not super reliable here. Neither is Life from the Loam Ghost Quarter. And let's just, like, trim a Wasteland. It's fine. Trim more Wastelands, keep some Malevolent Rumbles. I do just need a raw land count for hitting on things like Winding Way and for Manabond Field of the Dead. This is an awkward assortment of cards. If I believe in my deck being roughly 50% mana, and that I hit a land next turn, land that produces mana, then I have this on turn 2 as a self-scaling threat. I have the ability to answer an artifact that my opponent plays, and I have an ability to get extra land drops. I'm going to keep this. This is an incredibly high variance hand, though. So we start out on Bayou and Burgeoning. I'm going to get a bonus land drop, which we use to play the one that produces mana, and then we just need to hit a land. Nice. So there is my self-scaling threat, and we can probably count on my opponent's instants and sorceries to grow this. Rough. I'll take my bonus land drop. We're not holding lands this time for Field of the Dead because I'm probably not playing Manabond. Manabond probably is a Force of Vigor pitch as of right now. As of next turn, that might change if I draw another green land specifically. With another green land, I could play Manabond and then have the ability to hard cast Force of Vigor. That is not a green land. This is land 6 towards Field of the Dead. I think I'm just going to play this naturally. I can start using mana to tick Blast Zone towards 3. Yep. So, probably not good for me. I will put in the Manabond. I can just still hard cast Force of Vigor in response to whatever this spell is. So hopefully this spell is not good. That's a good spell. Opponent has 1 card, so I am taking this out. I have Maze of Ith for Atraxa, but Atraxa is going to do Atraxa things. Yeah, that's just show and tell for another Atraxa. Yeah, that's 5 cards. So there's that Petal. But then there's still show and tell, Atraxa, Brainstorm as the other cards. All right, I'll play this out. What my opponent wants to do is just find an Omniscience now, or an Emrakul. They have the show and tell already. My defensive lands here have done something. Like, I am not dying to the 7/7 that my opponent put in play. That's nice. We do this song and dance. Now, we're gonna start charging. We can get to 7, right? Land drop. It begins. There's an Intuition, which is going to be for Omniscience or Emrakul. Either one, again, is fantastic. I think it's Omniscience, very clearly. And I think I likely lose to the cards that the second Atraxa finds. So here we go. Yeah, that gets Cunning Wish, which does the Emrakul thing. All right, GG's. We put up an okay fight. All right. Here we go. My opponent has mulligan to 5 and says, hello, YouTube. So we're going to want to find something with Mulch. Mulch finding Life from the Loam for Wasteland would be hot. My opponent says, sorry, it's just to learn the deck and know how to beat it. All right, fair. My Wasteland immediately doesn't really do anything. If we're not dead on turn 1, this is totally fine. Fuck. Yeah. So we're dead. This is Oops All Spells. Let's just take a quick look at my opponent's version. Lively Dirge. Search the library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. Return up to 2 creature cards with total value mana 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's just a way to rebuy stuff. Okay. Alright, I see what's going on here. Anyway, this is why every deck I play has 4 Leyline of the Voids in the sideboard. Beyond that, we'll probably play Collector Oof or a Goblin Charbelcher Pivot. I could do Force of Vigor by similar logic. Collector Oof still has power and toughness and might shut off some artifact mana, whereas Force of Vigor is basically just for the Charbelcher. Let's take Burgeoning out. Conceptually, I just really don't see myself winning this matchup. We're a slow Field of the Dead deck. We're looking to play long games versus control. These aren't super good if I am always mulliganing to Leyline. I can hardcast Leyline, so I guess I can find it with Malevolent Rumble. Life from the Loam is kind of slow. I'm going to board out 2 lands. I guess I could do that instead. This is a turn 1 Manabond that is kind of cool, but I just need to mulligan to a Leyline of the Void hand just 100% of the time. Turn 1, Verdant, Exploration, Field of the Dead. Turn 2, Collector Oof. This Caracas can go back. I thought I just subbed that for a Blast Zone, but apparently that didn't go through. Yeah. Verdant, or Bayou, Exploration, and Field of the Dead. All right, untapped land. So I'm probably going to eat a Thoughtseize here. Fair. That's a Lotus Petal played out. Do you have another piece of discard? That's annoying. Goodbye, Oof number 2. Winding Way or Mulch off the top. Nice, nice. That's what we want to see. I only hit 1 land, but I did hit Life from the Loam. I'm going to call that a success. Nice. Wow, there were no lands anywhere near the top of my library. Puddle, a ball ritual, boggart trawler. Goodbye, life from the loam. Fetch, mortuary. Yeah, sure. That keeps me from losing to this little shitter. So while Maze of Ith is a very underwhelming card versus Oops All spells, we're in this point of the game where I need to not die to my opponent playing creatures that just look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5. I'm going to play this land. There's some times where I draw a Winding Way or Mulch and run hot on it where I can make more than 2 land drops immediately. We're in Draw Go. I think it is valuable to blow up my opponent's lands. Getting to Field of the Dead to start making my zombies absolutely matters for me, but keeping my opponent from winning the game is priority number 1. I need to win this game and next game. There's a Jack-o'-lantern, which my opponent will probably just end up cycling pretty quickly. Nice. And again, while we want to increase our land count for Field of the Dead, blowing up my opponent's lands matters more. All right. That one doesn't do anything. Chrome Mox. I don't know why my opponent played out Chrome Mox. They were not at the point where they have to discard. So now if I hit like something that allows me to blow up an artifact like a Boseiju or a Force of Vigor, I can just do this. No, I take it back. I take it back. They want to cycle. I'll put a Manabond into play. No, they don't want to cycle. They just want to leave up the possibility for if I Loam. Opponent has green mana now. This was not in the game 1 deck, I believe. I believe that was sideboarded in. I am fine hardcasting that, because otherwise I will probably end up just discarding it via Manabond eventually. It does mean that 1 Force of Vigor hits both ley lines. I think that's fine, because if my opponent end of turn gets rid of leyline, they probably just go off on their turn. All right. So beginning next turn, I start taking 3 damage per turn cycle. All right, there's Forest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So future land drops will start making zombies, and then I don't care about the small bodies. My opponent will deal 3 to me. I'll prevent some of this. 15. Yeah, Thoughtseize is fine. Okay, that one doesn't make a zombie, but that still checks onboard creatures. Anyway, it's turn 12. We are not presenting a win quickly here. Yep, that's a Charbelcher. I die if I don't top deck an answer to that. Which I did not. Humorously, that also is not another different land type to trigger Field of the Dead. Yeah, just dead. That was just a case of my deck drawing exactly the wrong lands to not produce threats. But more generally, I expect to lose this matchup every time. Final round here. Hand is quite good if Manabond resolves. Quite bad if it doesn't. Ooh, fuck, it's show and tell again. Well, we have already determined that this deck is not good versus combo. So there's a Petal. What is my way to win? Probably Boseijuing an Omniscience. It's holding that up for that specific line. And the follow-up card not being good better than just playing a Mulch and potentially hitting a Wasteland if my opponent is not mono blue. Let's Mulch. Alright, I hit a Life from the Loam directly to Graveyard, which I can dredge. Alright, not an immediate show and tell unless my opponent has Ancient Tomb as a follow-up. That Ponder did not shuffle. Thanks, I hate it. I will dredge. I don't think I cast Life from the Loam given those targets. I think I'm going to play out something that can be a Surveil land and hold up Boseiju. And we'll have Boseiju for Omniscience. There's a fetch. It's looking like opponent is mono blue. The mono blue version is certainly worse. Like, this is just too many basic lands for us to get through with Ghost Quarter, and there's almost certainly more in the deck beyond just this. Ugh. What am I doing? Raucous and Maze of Ith can help against the creatures themselves. I have a Maze of Ith in hand. I have Boseiju for Omniscience. I think Surveil Land is just the best thing that I can do in this turn cycle. I think conceptually, one of the ways that I win here is ghost quartering my opponent out. Alright, well, Maze of Ith does not stop that one. Let's find Caracas. Singleton Caracas. Used my... No! I dredged over my other Surveil Land. Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart of the Cards, 1 in 41 shot. Here we go. That ain't it. Nothing in the graveyard I'm missing. Boseiju doesn't save me. Just dead. Okay, I guess technically I can Maze of Ith the creature, lose all of my permanents, and then have the top card be exactly Caracas. It was not. Okay, don't like this matchup. Board these in before. I think I boarded these in before. Go something like down 2 life from the Loams, down like 2 Wastelands, down 2 Burgeonings. My opponent probably, well, they could have the One Ring. This is a great hand versus a non-combo deck. I don't think I can keep this one here. This hand does nothing. This is a keep. I don't get to keep the pitch card after mulliganing this deep. And I'll put back Wasteland. And maybe we get lucky and my opponent show and tells in a creature. And Caracas randomly wins me the game. We got another Wasteland, but opponent is on all islands over there. Mulch gets me a bunch of cards. I can only deploy one of these at a time, though. Alright. We doing it? We're doing it. Come on, Caracas. Fuck. Alright, we're probably dead. Yeah, that's Cunning Wish. That's going to lead to my death. GG's. So that was a 1-4 league, with most of our losses being 0-2. Alright. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not amazing, but we didn't exactly win the matchup lottery today either. We knew we were going to be bad against combo, and then we played all against combo? What was it? Oops, show and tell, Nadu. I don't remember what the last round was. But we don't want to play against combo while playing this deck. That is for sure. If I played another league with this, what would I do? I built this deck anticipating more control than what we were actually seeing. If you want to play something that looks like this in a combo metagame, you could do something like cut some number of these colorless lands for Dark Depths and Stage, and just have more ways to go, oops, I accidentally produced a win. Raucous would then also fall into this pile. You need 8 slots if you want to play Dark Depths plus Thespian Stage, and then you could consider more things beyond that to support it. The more 4x lands you play in your deck, the worse Field of the Dead gets. If you put Dark Depths into the deck, crop rotation might start to make sense. This deck was built to be very resilient versus counterspells. Crop rotation makes it worse against counterspells, but better at presenting an early win. You could mess with the Burgeoning and Malevolent Rumble slots too, but it's harder to get to Field of the Dead without things like Blast Zone and Maze of Ith. And Blast Zone definitely did some work today. If Dark Depths is too many slots, for the cost of about 7 slots, you could Urza's Saga. Assuming you want Urza's Saga plus 3-ish targets. Drawing the targets won't be very good in opening hands. Maybe you could get rid of the Burgeonings and play Mox Diamonds to play 2-drops on turn 1 to accelerate the deck. You play Mox Diamond, then more copies of Malevolent Rumble could be fine. There is a lot of wiggle room in this shell if you enjoy these sorts of decks, but I don't think this first draft quite nailed it. GOYF in the sideboard was not a slam dunk today. I don't think it was bad. I don't regret putting it there. I boarded it in a decent number of times. This being in the deck did mean I had 2x Bayou, 2x Underground Mortuary, instead of other lands that just had different names for Field of the Dead, so that's a thing. Black mana helping for costs of casting Leyline of the Void and Dismember did come up. Those are my thoughts. If you like these decks, put those thoughts together, add your own, get out there, try it in a league. Let me know if you try something and it works. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.